Welcome to my next Madden 23 offseason rebuild, and today I will be using the Los Angeles Chargers. My rules are pretty simple. I have 3 seasons to win a Super Bowl, otherwise the rebuild is considered a failure. Obviously at quarterback we do have star quarterback Justin Herbert, who is a superstar X-Factor dev trait. We also have Keenan Allen as an X-Factor, running back Austin Eckler as a superstar, and then Mike Williams is only a star dev trait, which kind of surprises me, but I think he spent most of last year injured. Over on defense, I will be keeping the Chargers a 3-4 defense. Usually I change them to a 4-3, but I kind of want a different challenge this time. So we have superstar X-Factor Joey Bosa, superstar Derwin James, and then we have Asante Samuel Jr. at corner and JC Jackson. He is out right now for 23 more weeks, but when he comes back, our defensive back room doesn't look bad. One thing that is really going to suck about this first offseason is we only have $28.8 million in cap space, but there are 29 players that are ready to negotiate contracts, so this team may look a lot different than what I just showed you guys. Unless I'm wrong, I don't see any massive names in this list. I did try to bring back kicker Cameron Dicker, but he did not want to sign a 3-year contract for whatever reason, but everyone else is around a 70 overall, and I think they're going to be easily replaceable. So what I'm going to do is let everyone walk to free agency, and then we may try to bring some people back in free agency or after the draft, stuff like that, just to fill out the roster. But yeah, with no big names, we're going to go ahead and save our money here. Since that is out of the way, here is the new roster that we have. We have no right tackle on the roster because it looks like Zion Johnson is going to try to start at both guard and tackle, which would be pretty interesting to watch, but I think Justin Herbert would actually get killed. On defense, I think we need some help on the D-line, but I don't know how big of an issue that's going to be, because we do have Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa, who are kind of both just edge rushers, so we'll have to look there. Maybe another middle linebacker, and we'll have to look at safety, or at least free safety. Strong safety, we seem to be fine with Derwin James. We are going to make a couple trades before going into free agency here. The first one is going to be running back Austin Eckler. Only has 1 more year left on his contract, and it would save us $5 million in cap space with only a $1.5 million penalty. And I have traded Austin Eckler to the Philadelphia Eagles. I saw Miles Sanders was in free agency, so the Eagles would need a running back. I honestly did not think they would give me their first round pick for it, but now we own pick 31 in the draft. There is one more player we can trade to free up a bit of cap space here, and it is going to be outside linebacker Khalil Mack, an 84 overall, 32 years old. We would save $18.4 million in cap space and incur a penalty of $9 million, but we're going to see if anyone will take him. We have officially traded Khalil Mack to the New York Giants for a 2nd round pick in this upcoming draft. Mack is still a pretty good player, but I really think we need that cap space more. There is one more player on this roster that I would get rid of to save some cap, and that would be wide receiver Keenan Allen. It would save us $16.3 million, but since the Chargers just restructured him in real life, we'll go ahead and keep him. I can't restructure contracts in Madden, which is completely and totally stupid, but you know, it is EA. But now going into free agency, we have $49 million in cap space, so we may be able to get a little bit more help to this team. The first 5 contracts I am offering in free agency are to middle linebacker Bobby Okereke, defensive tackle Dalvin Tomlinson, but there are a lot of teams interested in him right now, running back Rashad Penny, right tackle Isaiah Wynn, and right end Trey Flowers. Let's see if any of these guys are going to take this offer here. Everyone has signed except Okereke, and it looks like we lost out on Dalvin Tomlinson, but we do get Rashad Penny, Isaiah Wynn, and Trey Flowers. Now I'm offered a contract to Odell Beckham. It's a 1-year contract, but a receiving core of Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, and Odell Beckham for a single season could be incredibly dangerous. Let's see if any of these guys take these contracts. I didn't expect Odell to sign there, but we do get Bobby Okereke and we get Sheldon Rankins, so now I just need to try to get Odell. I have upped our 1-year offer just a little bit here, so let's see if he is going to sign this contract, and he remains a free agent for right now. However, advancing to stage 2, Odell Beckham does sign with us, so our receiving core for next season will be Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, and Odell Beckham Jr. We are now at the NFL draft. I do have a draft class downloaded, so it will be the real players for the first season. After that, it will go auto-generated. But let's see, the Bears with the number 1 pick are going to take Brian Bresee. It does not say he went to college, apparently. At pick 2, the Texans are going to take Bryce Young out of Alabama. At pick 3, the Cardinals take CJ Stroud out of Ohio State. At pick 4, the Colts are going to take Will Anderson. And at pick 5, the Seattle Seahawks will take Trenton Simpson out of Clemson. Remember that we do have 2 first-round picks in this draft. With the first one here at pick 22, I'm going to take free safety Jordan Battle out of Alabama, and he will have a hidden dev trade. With our second first round pick that we got from the Philadelphia Eagles here at pick 31, I'm going to take outside linebacker Andre Carter out of Army, and he will have a normal depth trait. Not really what I wanted to see, but it doesn't really surprise me. The reason it doesn't surprise me is because I have been pretty bad at drafting, especially the first season, in all of these offseason rebuilds. In the second round at pick 22, I'm going to take defensive end Eric Goldsberry out of Michigan State, and he will come in with a normal depth trait as well. And with our next second round pick, I'm going to take defensive end Zach Harrison out of Ohio State, and he will come in with a hidden depth trait actually. At the end of the third round here at pick 22, I'm going to take right outside linebacker Quincy Mackey out of Alabama, comes in with a tackle and a zone coverage, and will be a hidden depth trait. If you've never watched any of my rebuilds, I only pick the first 3 rounds and then I allow the computer to pick the rest of it, so that is what I'm doing now. Jordan Battle comes in as a 75 overall, Andre Carter is a 74, Goldsberry is a 71, Harrison's a 72, Mackey is a 72, and then past here is where the computer took over, and it looks like it took Travius Hodges-Tomlinson out of TCU. He's a 69 overall, a 65 overall tight end, and a 65 overall defensive tackle. Here is your offense for season 1 of this rebuild. Obviously, we have quarterback Justin Herbert. We did trade away Austin Eckler, but we signed Rashad Penny, who is a scheme fit and a 79 overall star depth trait. We still have Keenan Allen, who is probably in his last year as a Charger. And I say probably, but it's like a 95% sure it's going to be his last year, and then we're going to end up trading him. That way we don't lose him for nothing. Now, here is your defense for season 1. It doesn't look great on the D-line. We do have Zach Harrison, who is a hidden development. We also have Quincy Mackey here, who is a hidden development behind Joey Bosa and behind Kenneth Murray. And we added Jordan Battle in the draft, and now J.C. Jackson is healthy, so our secondary doesn't look awful. I honestly have no idea what my expectations are for season 1 in this rebuild. In real life, they got to the playoffs and then blew, I think, the biggest lead in playoff history, if not the biggest lead, one of the biggest leads against Jacksonville. So let's hope we don't do that again, but let's see if we can at least get back to the playoffs and maybe win a game or two. Well, that did not go as planned. We finished 9-8. We have the number 6 offense in points per game, but the number 30 defense in points per game. So something big happened there. Looks like we were the best passing offense in the league, but one of the worst rushing offenses in the league as well. Justin Herbert throws for over 6,000 yards, and we missed the playoffs. That is impressively bad from the Chargers there. 42 touchdowns and 11 interceptions. Rashad Penny ran for another 13 touchdowns, receiving Keenan Allen 117 catches, 1,800 yards and 17 scores. Odell Beckham 82 catches, 1,200 yards and 6 touchdowns. Mike Williams also broke 1,000 yards and got 8 scores. Gerald Everett caught 9. Joshua Palmer caught 2. What about defense? How do we do over there? Looks like Kenneth Murray led the team in tackles. That's good to see with 131. Sacks goes to Joey Bosa, who got 11. And interceptions, Bobby Okereke got 3 and Asante Samuel got 3. Not much of a shock here, but Herbert does lead the league in passing yards with 6,000 of them. Touchdowns goes to Joe Burrow with 49, and interceptions goes to Will Levis, who is a New York Giant who threw 22 interceptions. Anthony Richardson in Tampa Bay also threw 20. Running the ball, Derrick Henry ran for 1,600 yards and 18 touchdowns, but Damian Harris ran for 21 in New England. Then receiving, obviously Cooper Kupp is broken every time in simulation, 137 catches, 2,000 yards, 18 touchdowns. All of those will lead the league. This season's Super Bowl, Jalen Hurts has led the Eagles to a 38-10 victory over the Ravens. He also won NFL MVP. Coach of the Year goes to Arthur Smith. Offensive Player of the Year goes to Cooper Kupp. Defensive Player of the Year goes to Aaron Donald. Offensive Rookie of the Year goes to wide receiver Kayshon Boutte in Dallas. And Defensive Rookie of the Year goes to the Texans for Henry. I don't want to butcher your last name. I'm pretty sure he's out of Alabama though, but that could also be wrong. Going into this offseason, we are in salary cap hell. We only have $9.6 million in cap space, 11 players ready to negotiate their contracts. Probably not going to be able to bring back any of these guys. Looking through the list here, I think the biggest name is tight end Gerald Everett, who is an 83 overall superstar depth trait. I would love to bring him back in for agency. I don't really think I can afford it right now. Like I said, we're not going to bring back Odell Beckham. Michael Davis, Sheldon Rankins, Austin Johnson, all of these guys are going to hit the market. Let me see if I can even offer a contract to Gerald Everett here. A 4-year contract, we would have $41,000 in cap remaining. Let's see if he takes this. Please come back. That is exactly the offer I was hoping to get. Next season will be great. So right now we have no cap space. Before I make any moves here, we have somehow actually upped our cap space a little bit. We now have $1.07 million in cap, but let me see if I can make some roster moves. Moving wide receiver Keenan Allen will actually move $23 million in cap space, so we're going to try to trade him first. As I'm scrolling through the teams that actually want Keenan Allen, most of these are actually going to end up being green, I'm just now realizing. Not really much of a shock, I guess. But I will not be trading him in conference because I don't think that's something that the Chargers would actually do in real life. I think they would send him to the NFC. Here is the official trade for Keenan Allen. I am sending Keenan Allen and our first round pick this year to the Commanders. We move up 4 spots in the first round to pick number 12, and we pick up a 3rd round pick in the draft. Now looking through the other players that actually save us some money, and Mike Williams is here, 86 overall. Would save us $20 million in cap space. He's a $27 million cap hit next season. We're going to look to move Mike Williams as well, so we're going to rebuild our entire receiving room apparently. I have sent wide receiver Mike Williams to the Bears for their 2nd round pick, which is the first pick in the 2nd round. Looking to clear up a little bit more cap space, I look down here at Sebastian Joseph Day. He would save about $7.5 million in cap, a $2.5 million penalty, do $10 million against the cap next season. We are going to just go ahead and release Sebastian Joseph Day because I think that would be the realistic move rather than trading him. So we're going to go ahead and cut him. After all of that, we have $46 million in cap space. So let's see if we can help this team at all. Now looking at the roster after the trades, our number 1 receiver is currently Joshua Palmer. That is hopefully not going to be the situation when we get into the regular season. On defense, Derwin James did upgrade to a superstar X Factor, so that's pretty big. And it looks like we really need some more help at defensive tackle because we don't have anyone there that is actually looking serviceable. I'm only offering 4 contracts here in free agency. We don't have a ton of cap space really to work with to sign some of these bigger names. So I'm offering a contract to Gabe Davis, Odell Beckham, Ed Oliver, and Nick Needham. Let's see if any of these guys are going to take their offer. Everyone did except Odell, and it looks like we get Gabe Davis, Ed Oliver, and Nick Needham. Odell was just a 1-year deal here, and I don't really know if I want to get into a bidding war for him. I pulled the offer for Odell Beckham, and I've now offered a 1-year contract to Mike Evans. Yes, I know I traded an aging Keenan Allen, and now I'm offering a 1-year contract to Mike Evans. The difference being Mike Evans will be a little bit lower of a cap hit for us this season, and he has not signed, and now Seattle has joined. Well, I upped our offer for Mike Evans, but let's see if he's going to take the contract here, and he has still not signed with either one of us. Advancing to the next stage, Mike Evans does sign with the Seahawks, so we're going to lose out on a lot of these top guys. Brandon Ayuk was here. We did land Gabe Davis. Odell Beckham has also signed. He is headed to Minnesota. We are now ready to start the next NFL draft, and with the number 1 pick for the 2nd year in a row, the Chicago Bears will take a right tackle out of South Carolina. The Giants with pick 2 will take Calvin Rivers, a left tackle out of Oklahoma State. The Jets with pick 3 will take Billy Lewis, a quarterback out of Tulane. The Texans with the 4th pick will take a left tackle out of Arizona State, and with the 5th pick, the Saints will take an outside linebacker out of Tennessee, and now we will jump to pick 12. With the 12th pick in the draft, we're going to take wide receiver Percy Charleston out of Missouri. I'm going to really hope this kid is good. He has decent speed. He ran a 4.32 and a 4.26 then at his pro day. He has C awareness, A deep route, C catching. I think he's the best wide receiver in this class. We might be able to check that after. Well, let's take wide receiver Percy Charleston, who will have a hidden dev trade. With the first pick here in the 2nd round that we got from the Chicago Bears, I'm going to take running back Will Ellis out of Auburn, and he will have a normal dev trade. That is not what I thought that was going to be. He had some pretty solid ratings, and I thought he'd be a hidden dev trade. Well, that one may have been a wasted pick, and that could be huge, considering we only have 2 seasons left in this rebuild. With the 16th pick here in the 2nd round, I'm going to take defensive end Paul Hall out of Oklahoma, and he will also have a normal dev trait, so I'm going to keep drafting like crap. Awesome. Here in the 3rd round, this could be a pretty risky pick, I'm not going to lie. Martin Peel is a right guard out of Colorado. I don't know a ton about him. He has B to D awareness, but I know he has B pass block, A pass block finesse, but D pass block power, C run block, D run block power, but he is the strongest guard in the class. So we're going to go ahead and take Martin Peel out of Colorado, and what do you know, another normal dev trait. We're going to go ahead and get this final normal dev trait pick out of the way with right outside linebacker David Browning out of Minnesota. Comes in with B pursuit, A tackle, he's decently fast. Let's go ahead and take him, and he actually comes in as a hidden dev trait. Well, at least Percy Charleston ended up being a good pick. He's a 76 overall. Will Ellis is also a 76 overall, but he's a normal dev trait. Paul Hall was not a very good selection, 68 overall. Martin Peel's a 73 overall guard, and then we got a 67 overall in David Browning. He was a hidden depth trait, but that is not a great overall. And then we got a 67 overall middle linebacker, a 63 overall guard, a 70 overall receiver in the 6th round, and a 57 overall quarterback in Connor Thomas. What about Jamal Easley? Is he a hidden depth trait? No, he is not. Sorting by overalls here, it looks like the best receiver in the draft was Brett Chamberlain, who went to Baltimore. He comes in with 89 speed, 77 overall. He was taken at pick 31 and is a hidden depth trait. So we didn't take the best wide receiver in the draft, but I still feel like we took a pretty solid one. Here is your starting offense for season 2 of this rebuild. The receiving room is definitely a step down from last season, but Justin Herbert is a little bit better, so I'm hoping he can kind of elevate them a little bit. Then over on defense, we added Ed Oliver. Zach Harrison is now a starter. We have 2 superstar X Factors. Andre Carter is a 77 overall. Jordan Battle is an 80 overall star dev trait. Hopefully our defense plays a little bit better this season than they did last season. I talked about my expectations last year, which were get to the playoffs, maybe win a game or 2, and we completely missed the playoffs despite our quarterback throwing for 6,000 yards. So hopefully this time we can actually get to the playoffs, and I don't really care if Herbert throws for 6,000 yards to get there or not, I just want to get there. Well, this season we go 9-8, or the 13th offense in points per game, and the number 1 defense, so why are we not winning more games? Herbert throws for 5,000 yards, 38 touchdowns, 16 interceptions. Rashad Penny runs for 17 touchdowns. Receiving, Joshua Palmer had 100 catches and 10 touchdowns. Gabe Davis over 1,000 yards and 7 touchdowns. And rookie receiver Percy Charleston, 75 catches, 1,000 yards, and 8 scores. So I really don't see what's stopping this team right now. On defense, it looks like Kenneth Murray led the team in tackles with 93, sacks goes to Bosa with 13, Ed Oliver did get 11, and interceptions, Derwin James and Asante Samuel both got 3. Joe Burrow, who is now in Washington, throws for 5,200 yards and 53 touchdowns, both of those leading the league. Interceptions goes to Jameis Winston with 24. Running the ball, Derrick Henry ran for over 2,000 yards and 16 touchdowns, but Jonathan Taylor ran for 18 scores. Receiving, Cooper Kupp 121 catches, 1,800 yards, 19 touchdowns, but Keenan Allen in Washington caught 23 of them, so they've paired Joe Burrow with Keenan Allen, and he is making us kind of look stupid for trading him at this point. This season's Super Bowl goes to the New York Jets, led by Super Bowl MVP Sauce Gardner. The NFL MVP goes to Joe Burrow, not much of a shock. Coach of the Year goes to Mike McCarthy. Offensive and Defensive Players of the Year go to Cooper Kupp and Aaron Donald. Offensive Rookie of the Year is the quarterback for the Jets, who just led them to a Super Bowl, and Defensive Rookie of the Year is a middle linebacker for the Vikings. We begin this offseason with $79.1 million in cap space and 13 players ready to negotiate their contracts, but I know at least one of them is going to be Justin Herbert. Not only is Justin Herbert here with no re-sign interest, Asante Samuel is also here with no re-sign interest. Josh Palmer, Marquez Valdez-Scantling wants to come back, I guess that's good. Kenneth Murray has no interest, Trey Flowers has no interest. This could be a problem for season 3. We're just offering Justin Herbert the very player-friendly deal. It says very low risk. It's a ton of money, but let's see if we can bring our franchise quarterback back. And he is excited to sign such a great offer and stay with the team. Cool, now we get to build around that monster contract for this season. Let's see if we can get Asante Samuel back with a player-friendly deal, and he is going to be testing out free agency. As of right now, we are going to let Josh Palmer hit free agency, along with Marquez Valdez-Scantling. I'd love to bring back Kenneth Murray, but with no interest, I'd have to overpay him. Not really interested in doing that. So I think the rest of these guys are all going to go to free agency, and we have a lot of work to do if we're going to compete for a Super Bowl in Season 3. Before I jump into free agency, here is the starting offense. Obviously, we just had to pay Justin Herbert a ton of money to keep him. We have Gabe Davis at wide receiver 1 and Percy Charleston at wide receiver 2. I think we're going to look for a third receiver to add to this team, though. Over on defense, the first thing that I notice here is Ed Oliver is now a superstar depth trait, so that's good for us. But we do lose Kenneth Murray and Asante Samuel to free agency, so we will obviously look to replace them. This is probably not going to be a very popular move here, but I am going to cut starting center Corey Linsley. He's 34 years old, a $17 million cap hit next season, and it would save $14.5 million to get rid of him. I'm only offering 4 contracts here in free agency. The first one is the wide receiver Jalen Waddle. I had to kind of lowball him, but we're the only team going after him right now, so I'm hoping the appeal of playing with Herbert is what brings him here. And then I'm also offering contracts to Teron Johnson and Dante Jackson. Also trying to get Bobby Wagner. I couldn't go too expensive at middle linebacker because I want to get these other 3 players. But let's see if anyone signs in the first stage here. They are all gone because they have all signed with us, so this will be our entire free agent class. Generally, in the last year of these rebuilds, I go in and I trade a bunch of our draft picks to try to get some superstars to the team. Well, I really don't have the cap space to do that this time, so we will be making these draft picks. But with the first pick in the draft, the Cleveland Browns select an outside linebacker out of USF. With the second pick, the Saints take a quarterback out of Auburn. With the third pick, the Philadelphia Eagles take a defensive end out of Oregon. With the fourth pick, the Rams are going to take an outside linebacker out of Stanford. And with the fifth pick, the Seattle Seahawks take a right tackle out of Texas. Well, I'm going to be reaching like crazy here in the first round with pick 18. I'm going to take center Jesse Madsen. He's easily the best center left in the draft. Projected around 2 to 3, but I don't know if he'll be there by our next pick. So we're going to go ahead and take him. And he will be a normal depth trait because I can't draft at all for this video. In the second round, I'm going to take another defensive end. I feel like I've taken a right end in every single class here. But we're going to take defensive end Reggie Kitchens out of Auburn, and he will come in with a normal dev trade as well. I cannot believe how awful I am drafting this time. This is one of the worst drafting results that I've ever had in any of these rebuild videos. Well, here in the third round, I can apparently take the owner of Sam's Club and Walmart. Sam Walton is available at middle linebacker. I'm pretty sure this lineman is going to be a normal depth trait because he only has B awareness, but he's one of the best players that I can find available that we actually have a need for. So we're going to take Nick Widener, and he will actually be a hidden depth trait. We took a 74 overall center, so that's not horrible. A 74 overall defensive end, a 71 overall left guard, a 70 overall quarterback in the fourth round, Caleb Nixon out of Indiana State, a 65 overall right tackle, a 65 overall corner, and a 64 overall left tackle. Is Nixon a hidden dev trait? No, he is not. All right. Well, we have 1 season left to try to win a Super Bowl in this rebuild, and we have yet to even make the playoffs, so that is interesting. It looks like the guard we just drafted is also injured, so he will be out the first week, so hopefully that 65 overall doesn't get our quarterback murdered. At wide receiver, we have Jalen Waddle and Gabe Davis. We also have Percy Charleston here in the slot. It looks like while simulating the preseason, the computer decided we didn't need Bobby Wagner and went ahead and cut him for some odd reason. So Pearson looks like he will be our starting middle linebacker going into this season. So our linebacking core looks really strong on one side and kind of mediocre on the other. I'm hoping Ed Oliver, Joey Bosa, and Derwin James can carry the rest of this defense. I tried to show this before the final season of all of my rebuilds here. We are an 84 overall offense, an 85 overall defense, and an 84 overall team. Obviously, the goal is to win a Super Bowl here in the final season of this rebuild, otherwise it's considered a failure, but we haven't even made the playoffs yet, so I'm going to count that as a small victory if we can at least get to the playoffs here in Season 3 of this rebuild. I'm going to do this in a little bit of a different order than usual. Justin Herbert finishes the year with 5,200 yards, 37 touchdowns, and 14 interceptions. On the ground, Penny only ran for 400 yards and 8 touchdowns. We apparently could not run the ball at all this season. Receiving, Jalen Waddle 100 receptions, 1,300 yards, and 7 touchdowns. Gerald Everett caught 12 of them. Percy Charleston caught 11 touchdowns. Then over on defense, Bobby Okereke had 110 tackles leading the team. Joey Bosa 13.5 sacks. Zach Harrison 11.5 sacks. Interceptions goes to Quincy Mackey and Derwin James, who both got 3. Justin Herbert leads the league in passing yards with 5,275. In touchdowns, that goes to Alan Cody, a rookie quarterback in Minnesota, who threw for 45 touchdowns and only 6 interceptions. And then leading the league in picks is going to be Kenny Pickett with 16. On the ground, Saquon Barkley ran for 1,700 yards and 19 touchdowns, both of those good to lead the league. And then receiving, Juju is now in New York with 125 catches, 1,700 yards, and 11 touchdowns. But leading the league in touchdowns is Chris Godwin, George Pickens, and Keon Glover for the Broncos. But we finished the final season of this rebuild with an 8-9 season, and for the 3rd straight year, failed to make the playoffs. I don't know if the Chargers are cursed in Madden or what, but I felt like we built a pretty solid team. We're an 87 overall team, and I feel like in one of these 3 years, we should have at least been a wild card at some point, but just never managed to happen. We finished the final season as the number 21 offense in points per game and the number 6 defense. Obviously, this rebuild is considered a failure, but hopefully you guys enjoyed this video anyway, and I will talk to you guys next time.